Cuba becomes the latest country to authorize and regulate cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Yes, Cuba's government said on Thursday that it will recognize and regulate cryptocurrencies for payments. A resolution in the official gazette of the country's central bank will set rules for such currencies and determine how to license providers of related services within Cuba. It comes just as El Salvador is preparing to officially recognize the use as Bitcoin, as it seems all of Latin and South America are getting very excited about Bitcoin. Josh Shigala, your thoughts on Cuba becoming the latest country to recognize Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, just like we started off, Bitcoin. It's funny, most technologies they start off from the top down, so they get the wealthiest have the Tesla to start with, and then they get more and more people buying them, so they have money to build cheaper and cheaper and get bigger machines and single die cast things, and now they can pump them out for the masses. But Bitcoin is one of the few technologies that started from the bottom up, from the grassroots, just with people and freaks buying it, and libertarians and just nut job socialists that want to so like it started off down the bottom, and then it slowly scaled up to the institutions now that are piling, and then next obviously is countries. What's fascinating though, usually these hype cycles have happened after a boom bust, and the next boom happens from the next sort of iteration of
Who knew?
pot from the top drop down.
This has got to be one of those things like Mercury is rising, where all of the technology just breaks at the same time.
I like the way Josh's internet can only handle so much of Josh talking before it just crashes.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. It's like, oh no, more libertarian rants and raves. Hey, no, but basically, usually the hype cycles drop before the next next class of individuals or institutions come on board. So, it dropped, institutions came up, we had the next bubble, and I thought it would have been like a little while, like in 4 years' time when the next halving that countries. But this El Salvador move really basically sped up everything. But I think also COVID, everyone injecting money like crazy and printing it like mad to stimulate the economies worldwide is also speeding things up and accelerating stuff. So I think I'm very, very bullish that, hey, Cuba will do it, then the next person, then the next country, the next country, the next country. It's just it's a black hole, and it's going to suck everything in.
Ben Ark.
I think you lot speculated on this show back in the day, that it was people adopting it, and then it was going to be the companies and financial institutions, and then eventually countries, and would speculate on which countries were going to adopt it and blah, blah, blah. So we're starting to see it rolled out, the technology rolled out to these different countries, which is great. The US embargo against Cuba has been condemned by the UN since I think like the early 90s. I think it's 92, and the embargo restrictions increased during 2021. And I think in the article it said that the GDP of Cuba was affected by 11% because of this. And a lot of that is that US companies are prevented, and people are prevented from sending money basically to Cuba. So you don't have that remittance, which makes up a huge portion of all the countries around the US. It makes up a huge portion of their GDP, like in El Salvador, I think it's 70%, which is incredible. So that's why those embargoes are in fact condemned, because they break international law, the US acting like that. So this is a way for, as Bitcoin becomes more adopted and more people know how to use Bitcoin, and obviously all these Cubans who want to send money back home, and all these businesses who want to interact with Cuban businesses can do that kind of under the radar and through this censorship-resistant, pseudo-anonymous technology, which we have called Bitcoin. But yeah, these Central American countries who are trying to wiggle out of the US imperial control in one way or another, then Bitcoin is absolutely ideal for it. And as I said before, I think Cuba has a central bank, but it's it's not without its problems, and it's susceptible to corruption. And a lot of these smaller countries which have central banks which are more likely to be corrupted, or don't have central banks at all, are just going to they're just going to switch to Bitcoin, and they'll probably build their own stable coins or stable soft currencies on top of Bitcoin as well. That's possible. But yeah, it's great to see that's this stage of Bitcoin's evolution happening. And I think Josh is right that it's everyone becoming digitally native much quicker than we thought because of COVID, which has accelerated all of that. So we're in like Bitcoin 2025 right now, I think, not Bitcoin 2021. We've been catapulted a good few years into the future. So yeah, great to see, and wish them good luck.
Gabriel D. Vine.
I don't think this announcement is all that momentous or significant in itself. This is just kind of a paperwork thing, as far as I can tell. However, your guys are right in calling it out as a possible next step towards something more like El Salvador, where they actually adopt Bitcoin as an official currency for the country in some fashion by the authorities there. But as such, it's not that momentous. But I would like to comment on what Ben was just saying about our predictions on this particular channel, and in general, my comments about Bitcoin. I am not, I mean, yes, that's exactly what we've been saying over the years, and our predictions are, of course, terrific and have basically all come to pass. But I don't agree with you guys that I was looking at the mid-20s for government adoption. 21 was really a target year for me because of really in 2016, when the white paper for Lightning came out, I thought that it would take a couple of years to create alpha software, and then about 3 to build up enough client-side software in order to be able to use Lightning. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Early this year, which is the 5-year anniversary of the white paper release, we saw the things really began to heat up, and where human beings on the ground that don't know anything about things other than just apps on their smartphone, don't know anything about technology, they're farmers, whoever, in third world countries, anywhere, they could start using Bitcoin easily and smoothly. And that happened. And so, of course, everything now is flooding in because now Bitcoin is becoming a medium of exchange very quickly. And I really saw 2021 as the big year when that would launch up, and that things would begin to move a lot faster. So this is actually in line with my expectations.
Dan Eve.
Well, I think the fact that a central bank's giving it the seal of approval, albeit from a much smaller country, it lends credence. It gets to Bitcoin being a legitimate, like money source, right? Source of money, a legitimate money. It's a stamp of authority. Now, maybe obviously the US doesn't sort of get along with Cuba so well still, but there will be people thinking, right, well, there may be a bit, elements of corruption in some of these countries, but that there is obviously a benefit to having Bitcoin, and the fact that it can be rolled out in countries that are not so, not known for being technologically advanced, right? It scuppers the argument that Bitcoin is this complicated thing that people can't use properly. But no, now it's been rolled out to farmers who can, just have a phone and an app, and then bang, they're done. They're set up, and the infrastructure is there so they can switch out into fiat if they need it or want to, etc. So I think it's just another string to the bow of Bitcoin, and it's only going to snowball, right? Once these countries have got successful implementations of Bitcoin, especially with Lightning Network, and taking the strain off the main chain, providing lightning fast transactions, etc. They're really proving the case again against the arguments like you can't use it to pay for coffee, or that sort of stuff. It takes too long to confirm. So all these one by one, all these arguments they're being broken down. The dominoes are just falling. So I think it's cool. It's just turning into a monetary arms race, right, between the countries that are sat there, and everyone's going to be looking over their shoulder. They're sat at the Dasbo, what's that place? Davos, that whatever. One of the big things they're all going to be talking about Bitcoin, right? It's going to be on the the lips of basically every big leader out there, because as much as they're trying to dismiss it, there are going to be people that are probably kind of like sat there going, trying to shill it, right? There's going to be someone, like a few people in Davos who are like, mate, come on, like to the Boris Johnson or whoever, these world leaders, and be like, are you serious? Like, come on, guys, like, get into the 20th century. I agree with Ben about things being catapulted, though, right? We've gone, things like Zoom usage, etc., went up massively. All the working from home, the fact that companies have a lot of them have U-turned, and companies my friends work for, they were like very against working from home, and now like, wow, this really works for us. So that's really helped with Bitcoin adoption, because it's putting us fully into that virtual world. The stimmy checks, stimmy, yeah, they help definitely with Bitcoin, being bought, that's for sure. But yeah, I think it's great. I went to Cuba once, beautiful place, absolutely amazing. The most fascinating thing is like all the like this, or so many of the cars, not all of them, like they're old school, like American cars from like the 70s and stuff. They're like, I think even the picture in the article is, they're like it's just like a really cool place.
Not 70s, 50s.
50s, yeah, you're right.
Before
like
the revolution in 59.
The gangster sort of ones, yeah. I think it's definitely a beautiful place, and if you get out there, I'd say pay it a visit.